And if you were to take a guess as to what animal is the most popular for delivering bombs, what would it be? It may surprise you, but it won't surprise you once you know, because you're like, yeah, that makes sense.
Squirrels.
No, not squirrels. No, squirrels are chaotic.
They're fast and mischievous.
Chaotic, unpredictable.
They're already willing to bomb. They just they just didn't have the thumbs to make the tools.
They want to do it.
Yeah.
They just don't have the abilities.
Welcome.
Oh, here we go.
Welcome to the Low Grade Research Podcast.
So I asked you the other day to borrow your HBO Max account.
Yeah, how'd that go?
Perfect. So there's a show on there that I've been wanting to watch, and I listened to a podcast with the directors of this documentary. It's called, they were on Joe Rogan's podcast a while ago, but the documentary is called Chimp Crazy.
I've never heard of that.
You should check it out. It's super interesting. It's made by the same guys that did Tiger King.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Why didn't you tell me that when you were going to watch it the other night, dude? I would have watched it the same night as you.
Oh, sweet. Yeah, you'll have to check it out, and then we can talk about it later.
That means I'm going to be up late tonight, baby.
There's only like 4 episodes, and they're each like 50 minutes or so. So
a former
just
nurse turned exotic animal broker spends her days caring for animals in captivity. However, her love for one chimpanzee spins into a wild cat and mouse game with authorities and animal rights groups.
Yeah, dude, it's wild.
Is this the story of the lady that gets like her face ripped off, or someone's face gets ripped off by the chimp?
It's not that story, but they mention that story in this.
Nice.
They mention a couple stories similar to that, and then that one, which is like the most famous one, because it's kind of all about like, it's not, I don't want to say illegal because it's not necessarily illegal in a lot of places, but apparently
to own a chimp.
Yeah, apparently. Especially in Missouri has like no laws
at all
regarding
regarding
anything.
You've been there, dude?
Yeah. In the early 1800s, they chased out whole religious sects.
In the early 1800s, they said all the laws we've created are the amount of laws we're going to need. It's just been lawless.
So you just pretty much can't steal horses, and everything else is on the table.
Yeah, you can do anything else you want.
No, but apparently Missouri is super loose when it comes to like laws regarding owning exotic animals.
Yikes.
And so there's this lady that lives there. It's not that lady, but the lady that...
Not the lady in the documentary?
Well, she's so the lady on the poster is kind of who the documentary is about.
Sure.
And revolves kind of around, but she works for this lady that was known as like, if you wanted to get a chimp, like you went through her.
So do you just walk up to this lady in like a dark alley and she opens up a trench coat and there's like 13 chimp babies?
There's just monkeys.
You just get to choose.
Trench coat. Yeah, exactly.
That's so stupid.
Or it's just a white van.
That's a top tier joke.
You looking for a monkey?
Why are you outside of this arcade?
Get out of here.
Who's your target
I don't
audience?
want a monkey.
Are you offering these to teenagers?
So anyway, if any of you are looking for exotic animals, apparently Missouri and Texas are the places to go.
Well, Texas doesn't surprise me because you can just do anything you want there.
I heard that there are more. I'll have to fact check this, but I heard that
we don't do that on this show.
But we don't do that. If Wikipedia doesn't have it, it doesn't exist. But there are more tigers in Texas, in captivity in Texas,
than the rest of the world
than in the wild.
Wait, no, for real?
Yeah. That's supposedly a stat. There's more tigers in Texas than there are in the wild right now.
I'm going to go ahead and just Google that while we're talking.
Because that also seems feasible, right?
Wildly fascinating. Yeah, 100%, dude. You get
like
those
that
oil
wouldn't shock
tycoons
you.
down there.
Oh, yeah.
Doesn't Mike Tyson live in Texas? He accounts for at least 5 of those.
He hasn't had a tiger for years.
Gosh, I knew someone, I can't remember the guy's name, and that's for real, not just because I don't want to get him in legal trouble, but there's this guy I think I worked with. Maybe it was a class I took with him, but he was on the dark net all the time, the dark web.
Okay.
And we joked once because there was like a pond in the middle of the campus.
Right.
And so he was like, dude, I'm on the dark web all the time. I can buy a shark. And it'll ship here. He's like, I just checked it last night. It'll ship here in like 10 to 15 business days, and we can put it in the pond.
Oh my God.
And then they've got to deal with it.
I mean, that sounds awesome, but that's also not a saltwater pond.
No, yeah. Basically, you're just killing a shark at your place of work.
You should have told him you'd be better off ordering a small alligator. Which at that point, I would have tried to pressure him into doing it.
Well, yeah, 100%. I think he told me it was like $5,000 for a shark.
It's less than I thought, honestly.
And then he was going to check on prices of other animals for me. I don't remember ever having a follow-up conversation.
I can get you a shark for $5,000, or I can get you a pure-blood Canadian goose
Canadian.
for $600.
I can get you a pure-blood Canadian.
He's pure Canadian.
Anyway,
yeah, check
all
out.
this is to say, like, when I was talking to this dude about doing a shark,
Yeah.
I asked him about piranhas to see how much piranhas.
Oh, yeah.
Because I would love to own piranhas. I've always thought that'd be super cool.
I think that would be kind of cool.
Yeah, just the image of, like, you got this cool, like, wood-paneled office, and you're in a smoking jacket, and then talking to someone coming to your house for a business deal, and then you, like, throw their hand into a piranha tank or something. Yeah.
No, it's one of those where it's like, let me show you something, and you pull out this jar with a fish in it, or a giant, like, 8-foot long one that you've got 3 or 4 in that swim around.
That would be lovely.
That'd be super
The one
cool.
thing I would never and have never considered, though, is exotic pet-wise is a chimpanzee. Just
Yeah,
'cause
like
those
owning
things are
one?
it's so viciously dangerous. It's mind-boggling to me that anyone ever
And they
does.
talk about that in the show. And my first thought was, well, yeah, they're dangerous, but I was like, I don't want a dog living in my house, let alone a chimp.
Yeah.
They don't clean up after themselves.
No, and they rip your face off.
Yeah, and then they'll rip their face off if you don't give them what they want.
And
I
they'll
don't know.
eat your face.
I'm like, I'm not a dog in the house person. You think I'm going to let a chimp in my house and sleep in a bed and live in there? Like, no way, dude.
And you got to change its diapers and stuff.
Yeah, dude. Which they can be trained to do a lot of things, and most of the people that had them in this show a lot of them trained them to use the toilet, which is impressive.
That really is
I'll be
impressive.
honest.
Because it's like a crazy, strong, nonverbal, human-like monstrosity living in your house.
It's so weird. It's
if
like
it
it's
doesn't-
so close to being a human, but it's not.
Yeah.
It's
and
just enough not.
I mean, they're intelligent.
Yeah, they're
If
crazy
it
smart.
doesn't want to do something that you're trying to get it to do, then that's just freaky to me,
Yeah,
dude.
it was a really interesting documentary, and honestly, it was really interesting just because there's a specific type of person that wants to own a chimp and have it in their home. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So I know there's a lot of us that would love to see one or hold one, or I mean, it's not my cup of tea necessarily, but like I get the appeal and the novelty of like seeing a cool, cute animal, whatever.
Yeah.
But like having it in your home constantly and raising it like it's one of your children, like it's a unique type of person, and you'll see that as you watch this show.
Well, that's it, dude. I'm going to watch that show.
Yeah, it was good.
I did look up the stat for Texas, by the way.
Yeah,
And this is from A2ZAnimals.com, so
All right.
take it for what it's worth.
it's the
But
Wikipedia of animals.
It says that in Texas, it's simpler to own a tiger than a dangerous dog. And so according to some estimates, there could be up to 5,000 tigers in Texas,
Oh my goodness!
making Texas home to as many tigers as there are in the worldwide, which is estimated to be around
That's
5,000.
incredible.
So
That's so crazy.
that's nuts.
Which another crazy, I was listening to the podcast with the director and one of the
Yeah.
other guys that worked on this show.
The Rogan podcast.
Yeah, they were talking about how like they felt, because they did Tiger King as well, they felt more comfortable doing all the recording and being around the tigers than they did with the chimps.
Wow.
Because like you can kind of read a tiger. If it's hungry, like it has its intentions and you can see it carry it out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like a chimp can like be fine, but it's so intelligent. It has these thoughts going on and you don't know what they are, and it can just act out and lash out, and they're so quick and they can, flip so quick like that, as evidenced by these horror stories of people getting attacked by them, right?
No kidding.
But he was like, yeah, us and like our film crew and stuff, we felt way more comfortable being with Joe Exotic in a tiger cage than we did with these chimps.
Not for me.
Yeah, no way, dude.
Not for me. Honestly,
No
I'm not even on board to own a tiger. I'm good,
Yeah, I'm not.
I'm good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm cool with it.
I'll have some cool fish.
I love fish.
It's between me and glass, and there's never a chance they're going to eat my face off.
No, it's true.
Yep.
And I can outrun a fish.
Dude, even that scene in Tiger King where maybe I'm thinking of an Instagram video, but they get
Where it drags him off?
They get somebody's arm through a bar, don't they? And then like rip
I don't
somebody's
know.
arm
I don't
off.
remember if it ever showed it, but one of the people that worked there had their arm,
They were missing an arm, and they said that
Ripped
it
off
got ripped
by-
off
yeah.
through the bars, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, dude.
and then he just kept working there.
Yeah, just like he's like, you can't clock out.
Finish cleaning that cage and you can go to the hospital. Yeah, wild stuff. But we're going to talk about some other animals today on this episode of the podcast.
Human animals?
What is a human animal?
Me and you. Mostly you.
Just a really aggressive
You're
person.
an animal.
No, we are not going to talk about human animals. We're not even going to talk about animals that you would want to own as a pet.
Okay.
I mean, maybe we will kind of down the line, but that's not the main topic.
There's a lot of different
this.
people in this world. I bet somebody would and does.
Oh, that's fair. Kind of a quick sidebar on like pets. I listened to this podcast where people call in and ask for like cheap advice.
Okay.
Because it's just two comedians and / actors like giving advice to callers that come in.
The one with Jake Johnson?
It is, yeah. So
okay.
If you know who Jake Johnson is, he has a podcast with a friend where they just give advice to people that call in. And this girl called in and said, hey, I have a problem. So before I left for college, she's like 19. She just left for college. She's like, before I left for college, for a while, I had a pet tarantula.
Okay.
That we kept in a terrarium, like in my room, and like it was cool, it was whatever. She's like, my mom, ever since my mom struggles with a lot of anxiety. She also struggles with sleep apnea and, all that stuff.
Yep.
So when I left, it was obviously like hard for her because I'm not around much and, we're super close.
Yep.
And so that kind of elevated her sleep apnea. So she started taking medication. And for whatever reason, in her states of stupor, she she'll sleepwalk and stuff like that. But she started buying tarantulas online because she's like, that's where I bought mine. And we had one and it was like cool or whatever, but she's been buying them online in her sleep. My parents have 30 tarantulas at their house. And they're like, oh my gosh. Like,
why would you take delivery of those?
I know, right?
Return them.
I don't think the postman's going to keep them. He's like, no, these are getting out of my truck.
Quit ordering these.
He's just leaving them there. So yeah, she's like, yeah, my mom's got a terrarium with like 30 of these things.
That's freaky.
All throughout the house. Yeah, so kind of another weird pet sidebar.
I've been there a couple times, not with tarantulas, but I've been so sleepy, and on Amazon I've ordered things, and then like 2 days later it's like babe, did you order this freaking 16 different colors of phone cases? She's like, no.
Dude, I would
like, shoot, that was me.
I would do that when a little while I was like occasionally working nights at a youth treatment center.
Sure.
Just like making sure they don't run away and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And
that's a sleepy job.
It is a sleepy job. And you just start perusing online for fun things you can buy. And you're sleepy and tired. And it doesn't take much to convince yourself to get something cool.
Uh-huh.
And I bought remember when fidget spinners were big?
Oh, yeah. They still are. They ever stopped.
Oh, never knew. Didn't know. All right, but we're done talking about pets. Like I said, we're talking about bats.
Right after this.
Welcome back. Oh, what? You go first.
You go first.
Oh,
dang it.
We do this.
Not again.
Okay, so we're talking about another animal that you wouldn't want as a pet.
Okay.
I'm sure most of us anyway. We're talking about bats.
Okay.
And we're talking about them in a military capacity.
Great.
Have you ever heard of a bat bomb?
I've heard of a bath bomb, and I'm assuming they're pretty close.
No, they're very different.
Okay.
Great. One you would not want in water. I'll say that.
Bath bomb.
I'll say that. Yeah. Okay. So, quick overview on what a bat bomb is.
All right, hit me.
What a bat bomb was, I guess.
Okay.
Because this is more
They're
so.
not doing it still.
So one, it's no, it didn't gain popularity.
Okay.
So one, it's a thing, but two, it was also a secret government military project.
Okay.
So, bat bombs were an experimental World War II weapon developed by the United States. The bomb consisted of a bomb-shaped casing with over 1,000 compartments, each containing a bat.
Okay, I'm with you so far.
Mm-hmm.
This sounds insane.
Each of these bats was then I almost said strapped with, but they weren't strapped. A small incendiary bomb was attached to each of these bats.
Like a little backpack bomb?
Yeah, except they wore it on their chest. They just were glued onto the front of their chest.
This sounds like one of the most dangerous things I've ever heard of in my life.
Yes.
Okay.
So like I said, this is World War II, right? So
I don't think you did, but...
shortly after Pearl Harbor,
Okay.
the United States government came up with this concept of creating a bomb full of bats, each of these bats strapped with a small bomb.
Okay.
The bats would then fly into residential, commercial areas of wherever they were dropped. The bombs would go off on a timer,
Oh my gosh.
setting buildings, homes, whatever, ablaze. That was the idea.
Okay.
So, like I said, the hope was that.
I've got about a million questions.
Yeah. So the bats were predicted or estimated to cover an area with a radius of 20 to 40 miles from where each of these bombs were dropped. They were set on timers. The hope was that the bombs would ignite fires in inaccessible places within Japanese homes and buildings.
Oh my gosh.
The homes, which were largely in Japan, the homes were largely constructed of wood and paper materials and stuff.
Sure.
For like dividers and things, rather than like in the United States where we build a lot of our buildings with steel and concrete and things like that, right? So the hope
especially,
was,
I would imagine, during World War II.
yeah, especially in the 1940s.
Okay.
So the hope was that, these small bombs would catch everything on fire because it was just made of wood and paper.
That's crazy, dude.
And then the United States Navy eventually took over this project in 1943 with the code name Project X-Ray.
Nice.
Was a secret code name.
I hate code names for things.
So anyway, so the Bat Bomb was a secret military project to retaliate against Japan after the bombing of Pearl Harbor.
Good Lord.
So what questions do you have?
Wow. How do you control it? Who's setting all the timers individually for all these bats and putting them in? How many accidents did they have? Did they feel good about murdering these bats? Did they ever try it out? Did it work? Why was it scrapped? At what point was PETA involved?
Wow. Did you read my notes? You have so many great questions. I'm going to answer almost all of them. I will answer the last one you just asked.
I'm going to answer the ones I like.
I'm going to answer the last one you just asked. PETA was absent during this whole thing. I don't know when was PETA established.
I'm starting to feel like PETA is only involved when it suits them.
When was PETA founded? March of 1980 in Rockville, Maryland. Almost 40 years later. They were like, maybe we should do something about all these bats.
Yeah, they stopped it 40 years after the fact.
Okay, so let's talk about the conception of this project.
Yep.
Which it just gets wilder as we keep going on.
I believe
so I'm going to say buckle up.
Okay, I've just got this image of like an intern working for whatever department. Like, they're like, hey, there's this giant thing. There's 1,000 chambers.
Yeah.
Here are these bats. Like, you got to put the straps on and tie it. You got to wind it up and then stick it inside its compartment.
Like they're all on an egg timer?
Yes. That's what I'm picturing.
You got to do the math. If you're going to do 1,000 of them, you can't set them all at the same time.
Some poor kid from Lincoln, Nebraska, just sweating to death inside
for
of
a summer
Navy
internship
warehouse somewhere off Osaka.
Woo. Okay, so the bat bomb idea was conceived by Lytle S. Adams,
Nice.
who was a dental surgeon from Irwin, Pennsylvania.
Wow. Stay in your lane. Lentil? What was his name?
Lytle?
I'm going to stick with Lentil.
Lytle Adams.
All right.
So a dental surgeon from Pennsylvania who, oddly enough, was an acquaintance of the First Lady, Eleanor Roosevelt.
Oh, so that's how he got this job.
That's how he got this job.
Okay.
That's how he landed this gig.
Because otherwise he would have just been some lunatic dentist.
Yeah, writing letters to the White House.
Gosh, I got this great idea for a bomb.
Yeah, that's how you get on lists.
Yeah.
So Adams had recently visited. This whole thing is just wild.
Okay.
So he'd recently visited the Carlsbad Caverns National Park, which is in New Mexico.
Which is very cool. Tons of bats.
Tons of bats.
Yeah, I'm actually familiar with that place.
Oh, have you been there?
No, never.
Oh.
I'm just familiar.
Okay.
Yeah.
I've seen pictures and it looks really cool.
Yeah.
So anyway, Adams was also familiar.
Okay.
And he saw all the bats that were there.
Yeah.
And he also noticed how they got in all these small crevices and places, but two, that they were also very strong.
So he's just like a straight up dentist at this point, for real? He has no affiliation with the military at all?
The only affiliation he has is that he knows Eleanor Roosevelt and how to contact her.
So he's just a dude out on some trip with his family to Carlsbad Caverns.
Yeah.
With a hatred of bats, looking for ways to kill thousands and thousands of bats.
Pearl Harbor was end of 1941, I believe.
Yeah.
And so while everyone else was fighting in war, he was lucky enough to go on vacation to New Mexico. I don't know if you're lucky enough to go on vacation to New Mexico.
The USA's next generation of super weapons, baby.
So yeah, I said he recently visited these caves. Shortly after the events of Pearl Harbor, Adams wrote this letter to the White House with his idea of exploding bats. The plan was reviewed, and under the advice of Donald Griffin, who was a zoologist.
And also best friends with Dr. Adams.
He did not know.
Well, I guess we got to do it.
I guess it's a good idea. But under the advice of Professor Griffin, who was a university zoologist, President Franklin Delano Roosevelt approved the project.
That's crazy.
So he read the letter, had one meeting with a zoo doctor.
Hey there, Eleanor. Isn't this your papa's dentist? I don't know where Franklin Roosevelt was from. I don't know if he's from South Carolina, but...
So to quote Mr. Lytle Adams, Adams said in his letter that bats were, and I quote, created by God to await this hour to play their part in the scheme of free human existence.
Oh, boy.
Hold on. And to frustrate any attempt of those who dare desecrate our way of life.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let me get this straight. Where's he from, Dr. Adams?
Pennsylvania.
Some random dentist from Pennsylvania.
That's where he was practicing dentistry. I'm sure he was practicing more than dentistry.
Wait, who just gave the quote about that's their only use? That's Dr. Adams?
That was Adams, yeah.
Okay, so if I'm hearing you right.
I'll say it again.
Yeah.
Bats were created by God to await this hour to play their part in the scheme of free human existence and to frustrate any attempt of those who dare desecrate our way of life.
Okay, so he's just some dentist from Pennsylvania, takes a family trip, and then stands on top of a mountain and oversees basically what we should equate to as his kingdom, is the United States and ostensibly the world.
Yes.
And says, with all the authority of a confident dentist from Pennsylvania, this creature, which has undergone millions of years of evolution, is now here to serve its purpose and no other purpose. So help me God, and we can kill these things once and for all as soon as it's done.
Yeah. He had an epiphany to save the United States during World War II.
I'm not totally square on what the definition of hubris is, but I'm pretty sure this dude's picture is in the entry.
So of Adams, President Roosevelt remarked, which this is also following that statement. This follow-up is also crazy.
He was like, "I agree. Peace out."
This is the president of the sitting president of the United States said, "This man is not a nut. It sounds like a perfectly wild idea, but is worth looking into."
Why can't we go back to those days of politics? That's what I want to know.
What do you mean? I feel like this is an idea that President Trump would approve right now.
I'm just saying, I get so sick of the 24-hour news cycle. Why can't we just go back to when freaking nothing mattered and the most important? Well, I mean, it was World War II.
Sure, but we just weren't so informed. The most important thing
we're talking about that day is like, this dude is freaking hit the bank with this bat bomb, baby.
Oh, we got a money idea, folks.
We're going to go launch these things at everybody.
All right. So the project was approved. So now we're going to talk about post-presidential approval.
That's where it really gets interesting.
It's just where it continues to get. It just maintains its interest.
Okay.
I guess. So actually, no, this next one, it does get interesting. So President Roosevelt gave his approval for this project, and it was relegated to the authority of the United States Air Force.
Okay. Makes sense. They are flying creatures.
Yep.
The Air Force, I mean.
But guess who was put in charge of it?
Dr. Adams.
Dr. Lytle Adams.
Oh, my gosh.
So immediately jumping ranks to the military from
that's amazing.
Dentist to overseeing a top secret government military project.
Basically Elon Musk from the 1940s.
Wow, the parallels are uncanny.
Yeah. Yep. Both of them have push the boundaries on what's acceptable in terms of dental work.
From what they came up as to what they're doing now.
Yeah.
So Adams assembled his team for this project, which this is just like a league of extraordinary gentlemen for this project.
Okay.
His team included the mammalologist, so that makes sense, right?
Sure.
Jack von Blocher.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a name.
Dr. Blocher. Hardly know her. Actor Tim Holt.
Wait. Okay. Just because they're like drinking buddies, or
it wasn't clear, but he was a very popular and famous Western actor.
okay, so they just needed like a good face to promote this, I guess.
Seems
at
like
some point.
Well, it's a top secret mission. You don't want people to know about it, so I don't know if they needed a face for it.
Yeah, man, really confused as to why he was even part of that. Okay.
A former gangster
Yeah, makes sense.
and a former hotel manager, among others.
Makes sense. Among others.
Then it said among others.
Wow.
These
So
were
out
the
of
people
all the
worth
people-
of note.
Yeah. Say these are the ones worth talking about.
Yeah.
Out of this whole
Yeah.
group.
So an actor,
Wow.
a gangster, and a hotel manager.
Walk into a bar. The hotel manager looks
Yeah,
for the
this
gangster.
is the start of a joke
He
for
says,
sure, dude.
Hey, you ever heard of bat bombs?
Oh, man.
Yikes.
So let's see. So Von Blocher, so he's the only one that really has any type of any credential for this because he's a scientist that works with mammals.
Right.
And
The one
are
person.
bats mammals? I
in
guess
a-
they're mammals.
Yeah, of course they are. He's the one person in a gang of what seems to be 150,000 that are working on this project.
No kidding. It's just like blindly putting your finger in a phone book to see who you want on this team.
I'm sure it's everybody in Dr. Adams' Rolodex that he called up. He's like, we made it. I told you all that you could ride on my laurels up to success, and now we're here.
And now's our time. That's how they talk in Pennsylvania.
Yep.
So Von Blocher, his assistant Jack Kofer, and Osro Wiesel, who's also a scientist and self-described, they were all self-described bat lovers, noted that it did not occur to them to question the morality or ecological consequences of sacrificing a few million bats.
Now, and that part is the least surprising to me, if I'm being honest. You're hanging out with your buddies. You come up with a badass idea, like loading up a bunch of tiny bat bombs and then flinging them out into Japan. That the last thing you're talking about is the ecological consequence and whether or not it's a moral thing to do. Ooh.
Yeah,
This is also right on the heels of Dr. Adams stating to the world that this is the entire purpose.
This is the
bats
purpose
exist.
of bats
Yeah.
everywhere.
Yeah, there's no morals there.
So let's talk about the bat they decided to go with.
Okay, yeah.
Okay. So the bat that they opted for this project that they thought would be the best was the
Let me guess. It was the vampire bat.
yes,
Because if the bomb doesn't
largest
go off,
bat that there is.
if the bomb doesn't go off, the bat can at least kill some people with its fangs, right? Because I'm assuming that they have about that level
Dude,
of
have you
knowledge
seen
about bats.
Pictures of those things? They're huge.
What, vampire bats?
Yeah.
Is that literally what they chose?
No, it's not.
Oh gosh.
No, that would be very impractical
Yeah.
because they're huge.
Yeah.
But they just look like dogs with wings.
Yeah, they're freaky. That's like fruit bats too.
They're
Have you ever
freaky.
seen fruit bats?
Yeah, dude.
They're huge too.
Golly.
They're
No,
like
thanks, man.
the size of like legit like a blue heeler.
Ugh. No thanks, man.
Yeah. Anyway.
The bat that they opted to go with was the Mexican free-tailed bat.
Is that the same one that goes into Carlsbad Caverns?
I believe so. I believe that's one of. I think there's several species that are in that area. It wasn't noted, and I didn't look into Carlsbad Caverns enough to see if that was the species of bat that lives there.
I won't hold it against you this time.
I appreciate it.
Yeah.
But that's the one that they chose for a couple reasons.
Tell me again what the name was.
The Mexican, or it's also referred to as the Brazilian, but the Mexican free-tailed bat.
Okay.
And it's called free-tailed because apparently their tails are kind of are separate from like their spine.
Okay.
So I guess
Interesting.
it helps them fly and different things like that. So it was used for a couple reasons. One, they're very small.
Yep.
I'll show you a picture here.
Easy to manhandle into a cubby with a bomb strapped to its front.
How did you know?
It's just a wild guess I've got. I'm working on a theory.
So here they are. So there's one being held. They're very small.
Oh, so Mitch is showing me a picture. This dude's got one of these bats, And it looks like the whole body of the bat is maybe the same length as the dude's pinky. Might be.
They're pretty small, which is perfect for what they wanted because their idea is that these bats will get in small, hard to reach places.
Tell you what, though, it'd be difficult to try and get a bat to sign a consent form that small, don't you think?
And that was the biggest holdup for this whole project, was consenting adult bats. So they're small. They could get into these small crevices and places in the buildings and houses, which the whole idea was that these bombs would go off in places that wouldn't even be noticed until the fire became a real problem.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
So this bat also, this is incredible, has a horizontal flying speed of 99 miles per hour.
You're kidding me.
It's possibly the fastest mammal that there is.
Okay, I didn't think that bats really could. My understanding of bats, maybe we should do a whole episode about bats at some point, but my whole understanding was that they couldn't fly like from the ground. They can't start flying from the ground.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know where I heard this, but I thought that they had to be in trees or something and then let go. And essentially their flying is just, just prolonging a glide down to the ground kind of a thing. That they lack the same kind of wing strength that a bird had. Right?
I know it's different, but I don't know.
Well, clearly what I'm saying is not true if these bats can fly 99 miles an hour.
And maybe that is true for some species, but at least because every bat that I've found in real life has been on the ground and it doesn't want to fly away.
Yeah,
So
the last bat I saw in real life was with you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Same.
All right, brother. Yeah,
My man, my guy.
That's what I'm talking
That's
about.
right.
Yeah.
So anyway,
Bat brothers.
Absolutely crazy. So they think it's possibly one of the fastest mammal on the planet.
Yeah.
And that's horizontal speed. So it's not like a peregrine falcon that basically free falls at 200 miles an hour.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. It's not a lie.
This
it's
is
like them putting in the work to get there, not using gravity.
Yeah, this is a horizontal speed. It's also the highest flying bat, reaching altitudes of 10,800 feet, which that's also really, really high.
Okay, but as I'm thinking about it, though, this seems like a really poor choice to put into a bomb, don't you think?
Why is that?
Well, because I don't know. I guess if you're some kind of military general in the United States during World War II, maybe you just don't care at all because Japan is so far away that nothing bad could possibly blow back onto the United States. Mm-hmm. But it does seem like if they can fly that high and that fast, how do you keep them in a concentrated area enough to guarantee you success?
So, I actually read those stats and had the exact opposite thought.
Oh, okay.
Because, they timed out when they would drop them.
Yeah.
So that they would drop them near dusk so the bats would want to roost.
Sure.
So they can fly really fast so they can get to their destinations quickly. Because they fly at such a high altitude, it was a lot easier to drop them from a plane and know that they would successfully make it back down.
Oh, sure.
To the ground.
Yep, that makes sense.
One of the other reasons this bat was used is because it's also believed to be one of the most abundant mammals on the planet.
Oh, so you didn't feel so bad killing thousands of them at a time?
For an example of how abundant these are, there's a bridge in Austin, Texas, where there currently resides an estimated 1.5 million free-tailed bats.
Under one bridge?
One bridge in Austin, Texas.
Dude, I bet that's
it's a big bridge. Goes over a river or a lake or something.
Imagine how disgusting the underneath of that bridge is.
Oh my gosh, dude, I can only imagine.
You look at it and get a disease.
Yeah. Never visit Austin.
Never
so,
visit Texas.
Those were some of the reasons they chose the free-tailed bat.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Where are we at?
I don't have questions so far. I want to know, kind of feels like this didn't work. If we're not,
okay, well, let's keep going.
Them today.
I've got a few more things about the original plan, and we'll talk about why it was shelved.
Should we take a quick break?
Let's take a quick break.
Okay, one really small tangent before we get back into it. Have you seen the new movie coming out with Paul Rudd and Tim Robinson?
Yeah, I sent the IMDb page to you guys.
Have you seen the trailer?
Yeah.
It looks wild, dude.
Dude,
I was so pumped.
I was trying to describe it to Kelly, and she's like, "Oh, so is it like I love you, man?"
Yeah.
And I was like,
kinda.
funny enough, one of the reviews was, what was it like? It's I love you, man, but way darker.
But with Tim Robinson in it.
It was but way darker.
What was it called again?
Friendship.
Wait, is it out already?
No, I think it said May.
Oh, it says 2024 on it, but it was made in 24. Maybe it premiered at some festival.
Oh, maybe.
March 9th, 2025 is when it comes out.
Oh, I cannot. March even better.
We're
I
going to
cannot
that. That's
wait,
in like a few
dude.
weeks, dude.
I cannot wait.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah, I saw, because I follow Rotten Tomatoes on social media, right? So
Sure.
it was the poster, and then underneath it said, like, unofficial trailer coming out tomorrow, and it was posted the day before. So I was like, oh, hell yeah, dude.
Yes, dude.
I can't wait for this. And honestly, the trailer started out, like, way mellow. I was like, oh, this seems like it's going to be, like, an actual, like, heartfelt movie. But I was like, it's Tim Robinson. Just wait.
No,
just wait for it, dude.
What's he even doing there if it's heartfelt?
I thought we were friends.
Yeah, and it's like
dude.
his I think you should leave character comes out at some point.
Yes, dude.
Dude, there's one scene they're sitting as a group of guys, and then they start like singing because like one of them's insecure that he's not part of it, and so he's like singing like, "You're always here, you've got you on my mind," and then it zooms in on Tim Robinson's face, and he's like, it's got energy of like, what is this world? You know what I mean?
Yeah. We should watch the trailer together after we're done.
I'm so down.
All right, let's see where I'm at.
And we're back.
Thanks for hanging out. We've still got a few more things to talk about when it comes to World War II and bat bombs.
We got the most exciting things to talk about left, and Mitch is going to leave. We're going to end this show on a banger. So
quite literally, we're going to end on a banger.
Yeah.
Okay,
we're going to basically live tweet an actual footage.
We're going to do this ourselves. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I've already caught a bat.
Is that why your truck was like buzzing when I walked past it into
That's
here?
why I told you not to pick up my backpack.
Oh, you've got one in here with us right now. Good.
So,
hey, listen, I got to go pull the plug on my dad. I'm out of here.
You'd rather do that?
I've got to do literally
watch
anything
this bat
else
explode
other than check out your freaking IED you've got in your backpack right now.
Are you ready to talk about the rest of this plan?
Yeah, are you asking if I'm done making stupid jokes?
Are you done making jokes about pulling the plug on your dad?
It's a joke I don't think he'll find very
I could
funny,
use
if
one
I'm being
more.
honest. So, go ahead.
So the original plan was to arm the bats with white phosphorus. However, American chemist Louis Pfizer, not that Pfizer, spelled
are you
different.
sure? Oh.
Fieser.
Okay. Well,
So no PH.
he didn't create COVID.
Louis Pfizer joined
That's a joke,
the team.
everybody. Please do not do this. That was a joke. Go ahead. Sorry.
He joined the team, and white phosphorus was replaced with his invention, something you may have heard of called napalm.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, dude. They got the inventor of napalm to join this project.
Nuts, dude. He's like, here's my mammal scientist. Oh, this guy's a realtor. This guy owns a bouncy house in my hometown. We're all here ready to go.
Oh, and actor Tim Holt is here,
and
too.
actor Tony Shalhoub from Monk.
Oh, that's more of an inside joke for the rest.
I'm Tony Shalhoub from Monk.
Oh, so yeah, what a ragtag group. So yeah, they got him to join the team, and he's like, yeah, white phosphorus is good, but I invented something that's crazy.
Yeah, I've been killing people with this around world wars constantly for the last decade.
So they ran some tests to see how much an individual bat could carry, to see how much they could load them with. And they found that a 14-gram bat, so these bats are tiny, so 14 grams is about a half an ounce. And a 14-gram bat could carry a payload of between 15 to 18 grams. So it could carry its own body weight plus in napalm.
Wow.
Yeah.
Strong little wings.
They're super strong.
Yeah.
So the bomb carrier was...
How big of an explosion does 14 grams of napalm generate?
That's a great question. Looking up napalm. Making napalm out of Legos. What? That's one of the top
Bookmark that.
videos. Yeah.
Other search results include, why does napalm taste so good? Napalm for skincare.
Well, we'll have to look this up a little bit, but it was used regularly throughout World War II.
Yeah.
I do know that. But it makes a pretty decent boom.
I'm going to see if I can find out. You keep going.
All right. I'm going to get back on... You keep looking for that. I'm going to get back on this. Let's talk about the actual carrier that carried all these bats. Bomb carrier was made out of sheet metal, and it was roughly 1.5 meters long.
When you say carrier, is this just like the vehicle to deliver the bomb itself, or like this is the compartment that all the bats are in?
This is the vehicle that houses all the bats.
Okay.
So it actually.
So technically, we're talking about now like the bat bomb itself, then.
So yeah, the actual vessels, and here's a picture of it.
We'll post this on Instagram.
So that's what it looked. That's what the vessel looked like.
Okay, so it honestly looks like a cartoon missile from like.
Oh yeah, it's shaped like
like an old Looney Tunes.
Yeah, 100%.
Okay, just full of bats.
So inside the tube, it was fitted with 26 circular trays, each of which was around 30 inches in diameter. So
Nice.
just kind of like layers of trays.
Okay.
And in total, and then each of those sections was filled with bats with a bomb glued to their chest.
So it wasn't just like an individual compartment per bat.
No.
They just had like, I don't know, like 100 bats per layer or whatever.
Something like that.
Okay.
Each of these bombs could house 1,040 bats.
Wow.
So yeah, a lot of bats.
Or 2,000 if PETA was looking the other way.
PETA was completely unaware of this.
Cram them in there, baby.
It's a short trip.
You want us to send you back to Lincoln, Nebraska? Do your job. You might get a permanent position here.
So it was planned that the carrier would be deployed from an airplane, descending to an altitude of about 4,000 feet before deploying the parachutes.
Sure. Wait, the bomb would descend to 4,000 feet, or the plane would?
The bomb would descend.
I'm with you.
And then the bomb would deploy its own parachute to slow it down.
Okay.
Then the sides would fall away, releasing all of the bats.
Sheesh.
And then they would go on their merry way.
That is kind of terrifying, actually.
A little bit.
Yeah.
A little bit. That's something from a movie. So yeah, so in theory, that was the plan. And then these bats would house themselves in homes and properties and light them on fire.
I've never been so excited to hear the words "in theory" when we're talking about something as I am right now, because I have full confidence this did not go according to plan at all.
It didn't go according to plan.
It lit the White House on fire.
It ended Roosevelt's presidency.
They were testing it in the basement of the White House.
All right, so let's see. So first setback. The first one was that it just got relegated a couple times. So it was relegated to the Navy, and then shortly after, it got relegated to the Marines. So
did Dr. Adams just follow through each
transition? From what I understand, he was with it the whole time.
Just looking more and more rough with darker bags under his eyes.
Just more and more stars on his uniform.
Sure, yeah. I mean, why not?
First he was with the Air Force, and now the Navy, and now the Marines. Technically,
ranks.
he was with all three.
Wow.
So that was the first one, is it just kind of kept shifting departments.
Yep.
Second, in one incident, this took place at the Carlsbad Army Airfield, auxiliary air base near Carlsbad, New Mexico.
Sure.
The airfield was set on fire on May 15th of 1943 when armed bats were accidentally released. The bats roosted under a fuel tank and incinerated the test range.
That's the least surprising thing you've
And when
said
it
all
says
day.
accidentally released, it just sounds like an intern accidentally bumped into the button that released the cage.
Or he's like, I got to make it home.
I gotta see this.
This is my ticket out.
He's like ready to get out of the military, and I'm like, no, I gotta see this happen.
They're not going to let me go to Japan to watch
No way
it.
this works. So that was the first setback. It blew up the airfield.
Good grief.
So that was the first one.
Here's an idea for their checklist.
Mm-hmm.
Don't test this when there's big fuel tanks around.
You'd think you'd do it in a different part.
Simple. Yep.
But
there's so much. Basically, the entire state of New Mexico is barren.
Yeah,
like
you
could have spun in a circle and pointed and found a better location for this.
Well, for some reason, that wasn't enough, because they relocated the testing site to Utah.
The next most barren state.
That's right.
And we can say that because we're here.
Yep. And we are well aware that there's a explosives testing site just in the western part of the United States.
Yeah. And if you've been in deep western Utah, it's
not much going on. It's not much.
They don't even put gas stations
it's
there.
Literally just the military base, and then you keep going to almost Nevada, and then there's Wendover.
Yeah. There's literally nothing.
Yeah. It's not much.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway.
Wedding photographers mostly, I guess.
After several experiments and operational adjustments,
Okay.
they're like, our plan is better now.
Yeah.
These some definitive tests were carried out.
We put kitchen timers on the bats and hired different interns. Now we're ready to go.
And Elmer's Glue sponsored the project, so that's how we attached the bombs to
Sure.
the bats.
Yeah, why not?
So these
I'm picturing tiny little 5-point harnesses, by the way.
No, they used glue.
Oh, that kind of makes me sad.
Yeah, they tried different things. And
That's not as fun as like a tiny little buckling harness on this tiny
but
bat
then
body.
you got to get nimble fingers to sew all these harnesses, and
Gosh, the logistics.
and they're already busy making the stars for all the flags.
And
that
they already
we had to
promised
send out.
the kindergarten class in New Mexico they could help with the gluing.
It's true.
Yeah, they're so excited.
So yeah, they just said they attached the bombs to the bats with adhesive.
I guess if you're sending these bats to their desks, like what does it matter? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're not going to try and make it comfortable.
This is literally their divine purpose. This is what they've been preparing for their entire bat lives.
All the oral history passed down from generations leading up to this moment.
Yeah. So a mock-up of what a Japanese city would look like and be built of was actually constructed.
Wow.
In the Dugway Proving Ground test site in Utah.
Is it still there?
Well, not unless they blew it up. And it is called the Japanese Village.
Wow.
Yeah.
Super original.
Let's see. Observers at this test witnessed optimistic accounts.
Okay.
Get ready for this account. The chief of incendiary testing at the Dugway site wrote, "A reasonable number of destructive fires can be started in spite of the extremely small size of the units. The main advantage of the units would seem to be their placement within the enemy structures without the knowledge of the householder or fire watchers, thus allowing the fire to establish itself before being discovered." So the tests were a success. They're like, it's gonna work.
Oh my gosh.
Not only that, they also said that, well, kind of as a hindsight thing afterwards.
Yeah.
They said this probably would have been just as effective as the bombs that we ended up dropping in Japan.
Really?
But without the casualty. Because the homes and workplaces and buildings would have all been destroyed and, burned down. But people would have been able to escape there. More people would have been able to escape a burning building than a bomb.
Gosh, and I mean, like, just speaking of like sheer fear, dropping a nuclear bomb or dropping a giant bat bomb that lays waste to your city, those are equally terrifying to me.
Well, I think a bat bomb is more terrifying because the nuclear bomb it hits and it's instant death.
Sure.
And you don't even have to see it drop, right? Because you can be 10 miles away
Yeah.
and not even watch it drop. And
Right.
then in moments later,
there's not enough time to be afraid.
Yeah, there's not enough. But watching this silver vessel fall from the sky and the sides fall off, and then a black cloud of bats
Oh my god.
drops in on your town. Yeah, that's terrifying.
They're flying at 100 miles an hour.
Yeah,
You can't shoot them.
That's an episode of Supernatural.
They're inedible because you can't eat the napalm.
No one eats bats.
What are you gonna do?
You're not gonna eat the napalm on it. Yeah, that's why. Oh man.
Wow, terrifying.
The National Defense Research Committee observer stated it was concluded that X-ray, remember the project was renamed X-ray,
Yep.
that X-ray is an effective weapon.
Wow.
Here we go. The chief chemist's report stated that on a weight basis, X-ray was more effective than the standard incendiary bomb. Did I say that right? Incendiary bombs in use at the time. And he said, expressed in another way, the regular bombs would give probably 167 to 400 fires per bomb load, where X-ray would give 3,625 to 4,748 fires.
Wow.
So 10 times as much.
Literally.
More tests were scheduled, but the project was canceled when it was deemed likely that Project X-Ray would not be combat ready until mid-1945.
That's the only reason it was shelved?
Mm-hmm. It was just going to take too long to get it out. And by that time, didn't the war end?
Because they were just
1945?
catching individual bats with nets?
It takes a long time to harvest those.
And then by the time you get 1,000,
Get the volunteers.
You got to go back and get a few more because a lot of them have perished by it because it takes so long. Yikes.
And by that time, it was estimated that $2 million had already been spent on the project. And in today's money, that is around $33.8 million. Oh my. So
on one wild dentist's dream.
That's what it was. It was just a fever dream of a dentist.
Built out of a bored family vacation.
Yeah.
Wow.
So there you go. So that is the history of the bat bomb. I've got a few other. I've got a few other notable links for animals used in combat that I want to talk about.
Sweet.
We won't go into huge depth, but
Okay.
There's a few that I wanted to talk about. If you don't have any questions or thoughts or comments on this.
No, I'm going to be thinking for the next few days about a silver vessel falling out of the sky and then a plume of black
Okay.
bats flying into your homes, and
Yeah.
that's going to be freaky. No, that's wildly fascinating.
Okay, so this article is you can also find on Wikipedia is called "Animal-Borne Bomb Attacks."
Okay.
And if you were to take a guess as to what animal is the most popular for delivering bombs, what would it be? It may surprise you, but it won't surprise you once you know, because you're like, yeah, that makes sense.
Squirrels.
No, not squirrels. No, squirrels are chaotic.
They're fast and mischievous.
Chaotic, unpredictable.
They're already willing to bomb. They just they just didn't have the thumbs to make the
They
tools.
want to do it.
Yeah.
They just don't have the abilities.
No, it's not squirrels. What is
It's
it?
not squirrels. It's donkeys. And dude, let me tell you, donkeys, with how much they've been used, are war criminals. Like, and let me say, favored heavily by the Taliban, by the way. They love to use donkeys. All right. Okay, first example. In 2009, Taliban insurgents strapped an improvised explosive device to a donkey and let the donkey loose a short way from a camp of the British Armed Forces in Helmand
God.
Province. So there's one. In April of 2013... I'll have to follow the link. I don't think some of these did, some of these didn't, because the one flaw with donkeys is they're not very fast, so you can kind of see it coming.
And a giant bomb strapped to their back.
A lone donkey with no rider and 2 bags on its side is walking slowly to our camp. I think we should shoot it now before it gets here.
Wow.
Another example, in April of 2013 in Kabul, a bomb attached to a donkey blew up in front of a police security post, killing a policeman and wounding 3 civilians. A government spokesman claimed insurgents were challenging the competence of the Afghan government prior to the 2014 withdrawal of the U.S. military. Let's see. Here's another one. On November 21st of 2003, 8 rockets were fired from donkey carts at the Iraqi oil ministry and 2 hotels in downtown Baghdad, injuring 1 and causing a lot of damage. In 2004, a donkey in Ramadi was loaded with explosives and set off towards a U.S.-run checkpoint. It exploded before it was able to injure or kill anyone. The incident, along with a number of similar involving dogs, fueled fears of terrorist practices of using living animals as weapons. In Lebanon, Malia Soufangi, a young Lebanese woman, was caught in a security zone in November of 1985 with an explosive device mounted on a donkey with which she had failed to carry out an attack.
Oh, she just forgot it was there?
Donkeys.
Oh,
Donkeys.
Shoot, I brought the wrong donkey.
Let's go back to the American Civil War.
You're kidding me.
A Confederate force approached the ford at Valdery, 6 miles north of Fort Craig, hoping to cut Union communications between the fort and their headquarters in Santa Fe. When it was nearly midnight, Union Captain James Craden tried to blow up some rebel picket posts by sending mules loaded with barrels of fused gunpowder into the Confederate lines.
Oh, my gosh.
However, the mules went back towards the Union camp and detonated there. So yeah, mules.
So the
and
workhorse
donkeys.
of war isn't even a horse.
No, it's a donkey, dude.
That's amazing.
It's a donkey.
Okay, when you said there was a bunch of examples, I thought you'd maybe say 3, not a
No,
dozen.
multiple. I stand by what I say. Donkeys are war criminals. Donkeys have been bred for war, it turns out.
You ever looked at one in the eyes?
Oh, yeah, dude.
Because it just takes one glance to know. There's malice in their hearts.
Oh, all right. I've got a few examples that don't involve donkeys that I thought were interesting enough to talk about.
Please.
So Russia, for a while, was training tank dogs, which they would train. They trained dogs to carry explosives to enemy tanks and drop them in front of the tanks with the hopes that it would blow up. It ended up not working super well because
the bombs didn't taste very good.
Yeah.
Dang.
No, but because the dogs got gun shy and at the sound of gunfire and stuff, they became scared and would run back. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it didn't work great. But Russia, were training dogs for that during World War II.
Okay.
Excuse me. Another one that I thought was cool was the United Kingdom.
What, strapping bombs to beans?
I'll say Britain. No beans were harmed in this war.
They are every day in Britain, though.
But also in World War II, Britain was developing an explosive rat, also called a rat bomb.
Yikes.
They would basically
They would just take a ship over to New York City and scoop a bunch up and then just
sweep them
deploy them.
Just sweep them in.
Yeah.
So rat carcasses were filled with plastic explosives and were to be distributed near German boiler rooms where it was expected that they would be disposed of by burning, with the subsequent explosion having a chance to cause a boiler explosion.
Oh, my gosh.
Wild.
That's
super creative, by the way.
Crazy.
So
that's an episode by itself.
So funny.
Let me guess, it's a chiropractor that came up with that idea?
A British chiropractor. Also a British dentist, which he was out of work, obviously.
Obviously.
No clients. So funny enough, this project both worked and it didn't.
Okay.
So the explosive rat never saw use. They did try this out, and they did actually send it to Germany.
Sure.
As it never saw use, as the first shipment was intercepted by the Germans. However, the resulting search for more booby-trapped rats by the Germans consumed enough German resources for the special operations executive to determine that it was a success.
Oh my gosh. Gosh, can you imagine pulling up on that boat and they've just got like, in my mind, you know how they tie up hay bales with string and they're just like
crates
standing straight up or whatever in a bundle? Yeah. No, just little pylons of rats tied up together.
Yeah, wild.
Wow.
Okay, and finally, one of my favorite ones.
Hit me.
Okay. Okay. Also Iran. Man, Iran in the Middle East gets creative with using animals for military purposes.
Hey, man.
So, more recently, because this article talks about, it mentions the bat bombs, it mentions the anti-tank dogs from Russia during World War II, but more recently, Iran purchased several, can you guess? Not native
Whales.
to Iran. Not far off. Dolphins. Not far off
This
at all.
is a wild episode.
Iran purchased several dolphins, some of which were former Soviet military dolphins.
Okay, when you were talking about Soviets training animals, I was going to ask if it was dolphins.
The Soviets did train dolphins to detonate underwater mines.
Yeah.
For a time.
Right.
So, but Iran purchased them from the Soviet
You
Union.
know, because the oceans in Iran.
We would like all your military dolphins, please.
Yeah, they're like, okay.
That's a fun conversation. I'd love to
Right.
listen in on that conversation. How many do you have? We want them all.
We want them all.
So along with other sea mammals and birds, they bought these dolphins in what some have alleged to be an attempt by Iran to develop kamikaze dolphins
Oh, my gosh.
intended to seek out and destroy submarines and enemy warships. However, those plans didn't carry out, but the animals are still alive and today are on display at the Kish Dolphin Park on Iran's resort island of Kish in the Persian Gulf.
Okay, man. I'll tell you what. The minute we make enough money to get out there and check that out
To go to Iran?
from the podcast, we are going to go do a show there. I want to interview the guy who runs it. I want to interview the guy who trains the dolphins. I want to be there to hand one a fish from my hand.
So you can go see these war criminals on display at a resort. These ones are still alive.
Wow. That would make for a pretty cool petting zoo, though, to have just a bunch of reclaimed animals that never fulfilled their purpose.
Can you imagine the plaques you put out in front of each of their exhibits?
This is Jeff the donkey. He was intercepted before he could do real harm. Wow.
So there you go. There's the bat bomb plus a few extras that you may not have heard of.
So it sounds like we need extra episodes for Soviet dolphins, because I bet there's way more
Honestly,
backstory to that.
just the Soviets and what they tried to do.
Probably would be good to have like one on nuclear warfare. I bet that would make for an interesting episode. Gosh, what else? Chiropractic,
Yeah,
dentistry
in Western Europe.
What? Yeah. Well, so that's going to be a short episode.
It doesn't
That's
exist.
going to be 2 minutes. Yeah, we just did the whole episode just now. Wow, man. Fascinating.
Cool stuff, right? I know this one was fun to read about and research because it honestly didn't get, because I'd heard about this vaguely,
Sure.
like this bat bomb idea,
Yeah.
but it just got wilder and wilder the more I read.
It's a real
read on,
Tiger
obviously.
King type situation, if
Yeah,
I'm being honest.
I can't wait for this movie to come out.
It's on its way, dude.
Oh man,
Gotta be. Yeah, that's crazy. I mean, the thing that strikes me is that, I mean, it seems like the attitude that dentist had of like, this is their divine purpose was pretty much what everybody's rolling with these animals. You know what I mean? So
I would be curious to know what his experience with bats were when he was growing up that led him to that.
I know exactly what it is. Not great. You don't stand up on a hill and say, I'm going to kill all the bats. If you had good experience.
They had to delete that out of his reports.
In fact, the only bat, as I've been thinking about it, the only bat I've ever seen, well, I guess I've seen a lot of bats in real life, but never like they're just flying above when we're camping or whatever. The only one I've ever seen up close, I'll send a picture of it to you so you can put it on the Instagram story. But we were in Maine, and we just found a bat randomly in the backyard of the place we're staying. But yeah, it was like
that was it.
Nasty looking. It was gnarly.
They're not cute creatures.
And it was mad as I was even trying to help keep it alive. It was furious.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Wow.
So anyway,
Great, man.
so there you go, folks. You guys can learn more by searching whatever you want in Wikipedia. 'Cause there is so much information there. So check
we're
that
never
out.
going to end. We got plenty of material to talk about.
But if you want to know more about us, you guys can check us out on social media. You can find us at Other Brothers Studios on Instagram and Facebook, as well as YouTube.
If you have feedback for the show, shoot us an email, hello@otherbrothers.studio, and we'd love to hear it. We might even read it on there.
I will read it on there. I promise you that.
You will probably do it without your permission, so be careful what you say.
I for sure will.
All right, man.
That's all I got.
Love you, buddy.
See
Catch you next
later.
week.